everybody. This is No Bullshit Gaming Podcast 2.5 Gamers session number 4. We're discussing latest news, fun stuff, and dropping some knowledge. So, don't forget, let's not take this too seriously. We're having fun, and this is 4 a.m. discussion at the conference's vibe. So let's dive in and enjoy the vibe again. And, hey guys, hello Felix, hello Jakub.
Hello there.
Hello, Jakub. Oh my God.
You're looking very, very cool, Remo. I gotta admit.
See?
Yeah.
Told you.
So what's up with the new sunglasses? Oh, well, it's not sunglasses, sorry.
It's actually better then, because if I usually stay up long during the night to do some stuff, because sometimes that's the best creative part for a designer. Obviously, because everyone is quiet and you can think really deep how to design some things. So it kind of helps on the eyes a lot when you're there.
All right, my blues brother.
Yeah, I can imagine you're thinking really
Stevie
deep,
Wonder mode.
really deep when you're having these glasses on. All right, so today we're covering some latest news about Bungie, Facebook losses, New York Times buying Wordle, and of course an NFT topic as well, as usual. It's like every week there is something. And then we have the main topic, which is soft launching a mobile game from ad monetization perspective by Felix here. Amazing. Really looking forward to it. So how was your week? So I think before you go, we're recording this on Sunday, so you most probably heard all the news on the different podcasts, but you didn't hear our own take. So guys, what's up?
Everything's good, but I mean, I guess these are kind of turning into this week in gaming acquisitions, because there's just, the acquisition train is just keeping on rolling. Of course, Sony buying Bungie. Acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion. It's the latest string in big ticket consolidation deals in the games industry.
Yeah,
What do we think about it? Maybe
it's not 80, 60 or whatever else is the number.
68.
68.
Yeah. I currently am just hearing everyone piling on Facebook with the beginning of the end vibe. And pretty much loss of 3 of those Activisions all together in one day.
Well, it's not really a good period of time for Facebook. Well, and it started, I think, in last year in the middle of the year. But since I got my Facebook account unlocked, I'm not going to talk about any bad things about Facebook. So everything is good.
But I think we are due for a healthy shakeup in the whole environment there. So it's interesting to hear people's opinions on what's going to be done next. One on Facebook side to kind of counter this, and then on the other competitor side, such as TikTok, and where the whole pretty much part of this platform ad industry is going to move out.
A lot of people are surprised, oh wow, Facebook is really going down. Hey, where were you last half a year? Seriously. Because, oh wow, this is so surprising. Is it really? Well, no, probably. I mean, you could see this for some time already. Come on.
People are losing billions, if you compare the stock price. So it seems it's a little bit surprising if the share value went 23% in one day.
Of course, yes, that's surprising, but it is based on whatever happened last year, and we already saw all the ATT bullshit, IDFAs, and whatever else as well. So it's not magically nothing happened, and now their stock just dropped.
I've been looking at this from another perspective, more of a Schadenfreude perspective. And for those who don't speak German, it's pleasure from someone else's pain, but it's not book I'm taking pleasure of, because I saw this headline that, do you guys remember during meme stock times? The whole GameStop, there was one hedge fund called Melvin Capital that got hammered and pretty much nearly went bust. It was shorting GameStop. Melvin Capital had to get, I think it was a $2 billion loan into the hedge fund to stay afloat. So they're down by a lot. And in December, Melvin Capital took out a $1.4 billion position in Facebook, which means that their hedge fund now, combined with GameStop and Facebook, is down 94%.
Ooh, okay.
Outstanding
In 12
move,
months.
as we say here.
Ouch.
That brought me a lot of joy.
Yeah, I can see this on your face. Nice. Well, we jumped from directly to Facebook.
Yeah, we jumped
but,
direct into
yeah.
Facebook. But I wanted to ask, I know you don't want to comment to get blocked, but do you see anything in terms of quality going down on Facebook from a UA perspective?
The last 6 months, quite heavily. Started summer. Well, what was this like? Right after summer, I think in September maybe. The quality is dropping like every month, still, and I don't see any correction to actually turn this ship around.
You mean any light at the end of the tunnel?
Yes, exactly.
Is TikTok that light at the end of the tunnel, maybe?
Hard to
Also
say.
Facebook.
Hard to say. There are other UA channels that you can run the UA on still, and I'm hearing a lot of developers just moving away from Facebook, or at least like decreasing budgets heavily. So, well, good luck. Really looking forward. I can't comment anything else, and won't. But since TikTok has like 1 billion MAUs, or like the user count, they announced it in September. So now they're really growing rapidly for some time already.
How much are you spending right now on TikTok compared to Facebook as a percentage?
20% maybe. Yeah, on TikTok right now. But that's gonna change in the very near future.
Maybe let's cover the actual news so we know what we're actually talking about.
Really?
And then continue the discussion.
Oh, okay, Mr. Daredevil. So
let me just get there really quickly so people can get some facts behind the context here. So Facebook pretty much was announcing their results for the last quarter, and the big news from the whole announcement is of course that after 18 years of growth of their DAUs, this is the first time in company history when they lost DAUs just by 1 million. But the important word here is that the growth was lost. It was not positive but negative. And then that's pretty much the main reason why the market tanked so heavily. I think it's already 23 or 24% or even more. Don't know. Haven't seen the latest closing call yesterday or Friday. But yeah, it's pretty much in vicinity of like 250 billion or somewhere there of a loss of value. So yeah, Mark got kicked out of the top 10 wealthiest people in the world. Yeah. And then the other news is that their VR division, Meta, also announcing their results, and pretty much it confirmed their dedication there that they are burning like 10 billion a year into that with some kind of meager, I don't know, 1 billion something of a revenue compared to like 10 billion loss. So this kind of proves the point that everybody's saying that the whole metaverse, whatever you can imagine from that point, is kind of 5 to 10 years away anyway. So there's no
at least 5 to 10 years.
I agree with that notion, of course, like from the point of technology. So there's pretty much no saving hand of like, let's switch to VR and there's going to be everything rainbows and roses. That's one thing. And the other thing is that I think it was even this week where there was this like leaked memo from Facebook where Mark said that let's go heavily on video, because video on contrast is one of the least money-making machines in Facebook. I mean, like their competitor machine to TikTok, which like TikTok is crushing them pretty much. So they are trying to kind of follow the trend here, which is like one of the first signs that they're not making the trend, they're following the trend again and trying to catch up on the video with TikTok. And yeah, pretty much people are leaving the platform. So yeah, lots of bad news, I guess. And then there's of course the like one of the biggest, I think it was the biggest drop in like a company like market capitalization ever.
Yeah, and you know why it didn't happen? Because they blocked my account. That's the truth. That's the ultimate truth.
Yeah, so these are the facts. Do we have any predictions of these? Like, what would you do if it would be Mark or Cheryl somewhere there in the exec thing and like do something with Facebook? Or even Meta or like the whole company strategy?
Well, they're covering their asses with the Metaverse thing.
But it's just burning money.
I mean, if you think about it, what Mark did was he changed the company to the name to Meta, saying we're going to go all in on the Metaverse without it being an actual revenue driver.
It's pretty much saying we're going to go, like, let me correct that. It's saying we're going all in on VR, not Metaverse.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And, they've turned themselves from, a FANG stock, which they were, one of the biggest ones, to a growth stock that you're supposed to speculate in. So now buying a Facebook stock is, I believe that the Metaverse will be a thing. Might not.
And it will be a thing, and it will be a thing controlled by Facebook or Meta or whatever name you kind of come up with by that time.
Pretty much. Yeah, selling ads right in the Metaverse.
In your face.
In your face, of course. In your VR, in your face in VR. Well, like jokes aside, really, like I said, the quality of players is like dropping quite heavily. So unless they again pull something magically like they did with the AAA campaign, which is the automated app ads campaign, again, which they stole from Google because they were running this automated campaign for a long time already. So now suddenly they just switch to everything automation and machine learning bullshit. So unless they pull something like this, then I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel.
Like I think like it's pretty much the end of the overall like company strategy, because if you look from like higher perspective, like their easiest strategy was like whoever's competing against them, buy them out. So they bought Instagram, they bought WhatsApp. Now they cannot buy TikTok, and pretty much it's end of the line. And there's like regulators catching up to them, which there's still like a real possibility that they will be forced to de-invest from WhatsApp and Instagram.
Well, we'll see about that.
We'll see about it, of course, but that's the option is still lying on the table. It's not out of the question.
Of course. Well, everybody's looking at this.
Thanks for getting us back on track there. We were wandering, but Matej, can we move on to my favorite news story, I think, of last week? Wordle.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. The New York Times bought Wordle. So the Times announced the purchase of the game on Monday, adding the puzzle game to their portfolio of word games such as Crossword, the Mini, and Spelling Bee. And as of December 2021, the New York Times has over 1 million games subscriptions. So I'm sure that you've heard about this Wordle game, which is, I think, everybody is playing at the moment around us. It's really viral hit, or became viral hit some time ago, and now it was one guy who made it. I think it was like a hobby project of him.
Yeah, the guy's name was Josh Wardle. He's some Brooklyn-based guy who used to work at Reddit.
And there is like zero monetization in the game.
He made the game in October.
Yeah, there you go. Made the game in October. Gets bought in February. Well, okay, good job, man. Pretty nice.
So the real story, I think, here is around a guy who uploaded the Wordle game on the App Store. He made this game as pretty much a hobby project, I think, about 5 years ago. It's called Wordle on the App Store. It's Wordle with an exclamation mark, and it's made by a guy called Steven Carvata. And judging by the amount of organic traffic he's gotten because of all the buzz around the Wordle buyout from the desktop game, which is completely different, this guy, he has right now about 1 million daily active users in the States.
Nice.
Yeah, yum. So I did some ad monetization digging. I played his game. So right now he monetizes with banners and rewarded videos. And I played it for about 10 minutes, made a note how many ads I saw. And I think, from my estimation, that this guy is making somewhere between 17K to 20K a day in ad revenue currently, which means that if he keeps this up for 3 months and has the same DAU, which might not happen, but it's not impossible to imagine, that he's set to make more money than the Josh Wordle guy did from selling his game to New York Times. He'll make in revenue.
Well, I wish.
I found Steven Carvata on LinkedIn and I sent him a message congratulating him. because essentially he won the lottery.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you're a listener, well done.
Well done, mate.
Well done.
Nice. Well, hopefully the DAU will last more than 3 months, and he'll make more money.
But isn't this like
Let's
the
hope
common
so.
issue here that like you cannot patent or pretty much copyright design of a game? That means that like anyone can jump on this pretty much. Like the hyper casuals, I guess, should be like pretty easy, like 2 weeks job for them to create something similar and just push it to the top of the charts.
100%. I mean, there's already a bunch of clones
Yeah.
called Wordle this, Wordle that, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happens in our industry,
I've
isn't
seen
it?
many times like the original idea pretty much getting short end of the stick by the end of the run, where the clone would be even more successful than the original.
Yeah, well, that happened multiple times with hyper casuals anyway. Well, very nice story. Well, maybe someday we will all make games like this in the App Store and make some decent money.
But isn't this like the third or second time New York Times is kind of engaging into gaming industry? I think they even have their own studio bought out or something like that.
I'm not sure about the studio, but they made it pretty clear that they're pretty serious about the games they have. And I know, I think maybe you're right. They bought some studio that made the cooking games, but I'm not sure if I'm not making this up.
I mean, they had their goal, like I said before, that they want to reach 10 million subscriptions, digital subscriptions by 2025. And, gaming definitely would fit into that. If there's some games that you love playing, put it behind the paywall. Yeah,
that's true. And this is viral hit, so definitely something to keep in mind.
But in the end, it's just like a copy of Apple's App Arcade, isn't it? Like, I mean, the New York Times model.
Yeah,
but you have the newspaper as well. The games are are on the side. Just
things happen outside of gaming.
Yeah.
I know that part. I never go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. This is pretty funny one. So Niso, as a company, predicts that NFT companies will transform into luxury and lifestyle brands, and the exposure from social media influencers will boost the reach of the NFTs to the wider public. This is so hilarious. I mean, they point out that Bored Ape Yacht Club is popular amongst the rappers and Snoop Dogg and Post Malone and Eminem and whoever else. And thanks to their social media followers, this will just boost all the NFT hype to the wider audience. I mean, this is I'm not sure why they think this is going to happen, but it's so wrong on so many levels. I mean, come on, seriously.
What do you think it's wrong on so many levels?
I mean, how is this going to be a luxury or lifestyle? Seriously, how is going to be an NFT avatar or whatever as a luxury brand? Why? How is that?
Have you not heard about the latest trend from Art Basel in Miami, where these crazy kids were wearing Apple Watches as necklaces?
What?
Like a slideshow with their NFTs, and they walked around with it, showing it off.
You're in the wrong club, man, obviously.
Probably. Oh my God, this is so so
Don't
stupid.
be a boomer, Matej.
So stupid.
This is going to be a thing.
So stupid. Really.
It's not so stupid. It's pretty much too much money on the market. Just wait for the interest rates to go up.
Oh yeah, okay. And then the whole NFT hype is going away. Okay. I know. I don't see this going to happen. I would most likely see these companies go into the gaming. The Bored Ape is already doing is like they publish their game, like Apes versus Mutants, which is an Archer clone, no monetization, nothing. It is kind of bullshit. It's true. Still, way more interesting than the luxury or lifestyle brand.
I would just say going and trying are two different things. And they're trying to go to gaming. Similar as Amazon is trying to go into gaming for many years now.
Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, well, that's it from the news. I think.
Did we get the Sony one?
Plenty of. Yeah, well, you mean the Bungie from the beginning? Yeah, we just skip it.
The actual news.
You're right. Yeah, the actual news. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, sure. Oh.
Do we want to cover that, or should we just move on to educational matters? All right. So I wanted to talk about a bit about soft launching a mobile game from a admon perspective and what you as a developer should think about. So what prompted me to want to talk about this is actually a Statisa article that came out about a month ago that stated that mobile game ad spending is expected to grow from 32 billion, which it was in 2020, and it's expected to grow to 130 billion by 2025, and that's up 300% in just 5 years. So with this amount of money being pumped into UA, it's safe to say that overall mobile ad revenue will only grow and be even a larger part of your overall revenue for mobile games in the future. And I wanted to give a bit of a guide on how you as a mobile game dev should think about ad monetization when you're soft launching and global launching your next mobile game. And Matej and Remo, please feel free to kind of stop me at any time if you think I'm using bullshit terms or any slang like that doesn't make any sense, and call me out on it.
Do it right now. Like, do we think the number is justified? It's 130 in 5 years from 30, really? With all the cross-platform, whatever bullshit CPI is hitting so high that this number is justified.
I mean, it's set to be 45 billion like last year in 2021. So could be. I mean, Matej, I think, is the perfect one to ask on
because
that.
It's more than 100%.
Yeah, well, it's definitely more than 100%. But I think it still could be true. Even if CPIs are pretty high, the ability to spend like cross-platform is, mobile is still the biggest platform out there. And if you have cross-platform mobile PC and desktop launchers and whatever, it's still the desktop inventory is very small and it's shrinking every day.
So is this counting with, let's say, whole India pretty much jumping on the trend or whatever? Like, what's like? Because I'm just trying to like.
I mean, this includes China as well, 100%.
Of course.
Because if you say like the current gaming, like mobile industry is making like 90 billion a year, let's say, and it's then making 32 billion in the ad spend, or you said 40, Felix. So let's take that. So if we multiply that by pretty much 4 times, would that also mean then on the other hand, we would be making 4 times the revenue?
Sure. Why not? Sure, why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
Because I didn't see that number in the other analysis ever.
Well, we saw in the analysis from Niso that NFT is going into the luxury and lifestyle brands. So,
It seems to me just like too big of a number, honestly. It's like, don't know.
All right.
Well, we'll see. I guess
I'll send you the
see.
article after this, and you can go into it.
I guess we'll see in 5 years.
Kind of getting this back a bit on track. So, soft launching. So, if you think of all mobile games, like genres on a spectrum, from hyper-casual on one end to hardcore on the other ones, the two extremes will always monetize like 97% from either ads or IAPs. So the advice I'm giving here is set to be for the middle ground. So that is to say, not hyper-casual or hardcore games. So if your game sits in the middle of the spectrum, you first need to decide which kind of ad format works best for you. And if you sit in the middle of the spectrum, 9 times out of 10, the ad format that's the best for you is the rewarded ad format. Rewarded ads are the undisputed king in terms of ad monetization because you get the highest ECPMs compared to other formats. You get the highest completion rates. It's the lowest amount of friction from users since it's opt-in. And from a mediation perspective as well, you get the most amount of competition for your inventory for this format from other networks because everyone's competing to get this type of inventory because it converts super well. So in order to maximize your ad revenue, you need to keep in mind that as a game developer, ad revenue is equal to fill or impressions times ECPM. So everything you do to maximize ad revenue from a design perspective or a monetization perspective should be aimed either at increasing impressions or the ECPM. And generally how I like to frame it is that during soft launch, you should focus your energy first and foremost on maximizing the impressions. And once that is done, that's when you should move on to maximizing your ECPM. Does that make sense? No bullshit so far?
I would say just at some point there's like a diminishing return here within these. So it's not that like you really need to push like people to watch 100 ads per day, because what you need to push to push a lot of percentage of your player base to actually watch at least few ads a day, not just like few people watching hundreds of ads per day. So there's a diminishing return here. So
100%. Yeah. So that's actually a bit what I wanted to talk about as well, because during soft launch, I would recommend that your Northstar ad metric that you should be looking at is impressions per DAU, i.e. how many ads do your users actually watch a day. And if you want ad revenue, from my perspective, to have an impact on your overall UA efforts, kind of the gold standard here that you want to aim towards is 5 impressions per DAU or anything above that.
How did you come up with that number?
So essentially, I took all the games that I'm kind of monetizing with, and I looked at kind of the bottom line impact in terms of ad ARPDAU on top of everything. Mm-hmm. So with a proper mediation setup, if you achieve 5 impressions per DAU, you will add about 6 to 8 cents per user per day. Now, if you achieve about 7 impressions per DAU, that will be about 12 to 15 cents per user per day. So it might not sound like a lot, but if you think about it, if you retain a user for 10 days and they watch 7 impressions a day, ads will have added about $1.20 or $1 to $1.50 to their overall LTV. Mm-hmm. So from my perspective as a mediation ad monetization person, I would recommend that you shouldn't really worry about mediation at this kind of stage, because you're doing a million other things. And what you should really worry about at this early stage is getting that impressions per DAU number as close to or above 5 impressions per DAU as you possibly can.
Okay, and how can you do that actually?
I actually wanted to pause here since we actually happen to have a game designer on the call.
True.
Ask our resident expert here.
So I would say the other percentage number, which is how much percentage of your DAU actually interacts with the ads, like meaning that the metric is based on like at least watching 1 impression per day, and then they get counted into the percentage. So let's talk like a 60% to be some kind of a good baseline that you want to reach. So this is much more important to kind of tinker with rather than pushing people to that 6-7 impression per DAU. Like usually how I see it is that you have 4 to 5 impressions per DAU, 8 impressions per daily engaged users if you're only counting the ones that are actually watching the ads, because they will just behave that. Like it's usually double of the number that. And then just pretty much focusing on that engagement percentage and pulling it up. And how you do that is you spread the ad placements throughout your game naturally. So pretty much imagine a normal core loop, and you need to have some kind of like a, let's say, bus stop system around it, so people can watch that during like any part of the game. Because people usually have the problem that they have one of those, and it's really good in your face or like really accessible, but then they kind of miss on the dynamic ones. And the dynamic ones are the best ones in my opinion, because they don't clutter the game UI. So you need like pretty much stitch your game with here's an ad, here's an ad, here's an ad, here's an ad, and they are pretty much offered into your face in the right moment. Like similar.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, of course.
The dynamic.
You run out of something, and only when you run out of something, then you are offered to get more of it by watching an ad. Or you get into a usual fail state scenario, and then you are offered the possibility to watch an ad. Or something kind of happens in the game, and there's some kind of trigger point, and then you are offered an ad, rather than just having a button that is sitting there on your main UI, which is screaming at you or hinting and popping like watch an ad, watch an ad, watch an ad, that you pretty much get annoyed with. And if you actually watch the ad, then it goes on cooldown and sits there in a cooldown mode for like 4 hours. So I would say going dynamic is really important. And then the even more advanced solution is having ads in events, where you would have events and ads integrated into them. So that's even more dynamic because the whole placement will pretty much vanish away with the whole event as it goes and comes.
You mean game event, not event as a tracking thing? Event in a game.
Yeah, game event, like meaning some kind of a seasonal content that you pretty much start in and goes out.
Okay. When do developers need to start thinking about this ad monetization in the soft launch? Like really in the beginning of the retention stage, or like in the monetization stage, or when?
I think it's even in like game design pre-production stage, where you need
pre-production
to know,
stage.
Because you need to know like what you're selling and how people should be familiar what the overall revenue share of the game should look like. I mean, the type of it. So how much percentage they would aim towards ad revenue and normal IAP revenue.
Ooh, okay. Well,
I know we're getting advanced, but like, let's face it, this is how it works. Like, it shouldn't be like that we, construct the game to be 100% IAP, and then sometime later down the line, there's this, nice thing called ads. Let's slap it on top of it.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, that's
that never works.
Like half of the developers think about it.
Yeah, so
that's why I ask. That's why I asked this question.
Yeah, you need to do it differently if you want to do it like by the books. And if you do it by the books, you do it like this. And then on the other hand, what you do is, if it's a mid-core game, or like usually if it's a game that has some kind of economy going into it, you pretty much dedicate a percentage of that economy to be going through the ads. So as you're planning your sinks and your sources, some of the sources are pretty much coming with the ads, and you are counting for the player to watch the ads as a player progression. So that's completely normal.
Basically, no cannibalization of the revenue because it's already counted in.
Like think the usual adventure capitalist, adventure communist idle games. Like you always have the best converting ad placement, which is like speed up your economy game by 2 times, and the whole game is pretty much balanced around that. That it counts with you that you always have this ad placement on, because otherwise you're just crawling on the floor.
Yeah. Okay.
But Remo, correct me if I'm wrong, you're kind of seeing these idle metrics that used to only be in idle games kind of making their way to every genre of every style of game right now? Is that kind of a trend you're seeing?
Definitely not. Like the idle game economies, they have their own sorts of problems. I don't think so we want to get into that, because they need to go through reset as they're exponential, and sometimes the numbers game gets so high that you lose track of like actual value, and they need to reset and have prestige currency and stuff like that. So that's different. But I would say a lot of these kind of really good practices are coming between the games in a way that people usually monetize a lot of those fail states if your game is able to give you that. Like that's one of the things. That's more towards casual side. But on the other hand, just leaving the resources in the ad economy is the best option in my book. That you pretty much dedicate some kind of the resources, and people always want to go for power. Like the fail state ones are better, because you are pretty much monetizing a try, which is not like part of your economy. So you're not giving away economy. You're giving just like a ticket. So think something like Archero, for instance. Your character dies, and you can, get your health back and like have more tries on the same run. And you're not giving away your economy. But economy is always much more stable, and you need to like count it in. But the tries is the better placement here, but your game needs to be able to support that. That's the hard part, like finding actually that placement where you can offer like one more heart, one more try, one more something that is basically not an economy, but in that specific scenario it's really valuable to the user, because he has been playing the like roguelike run for 20 minutes. He doesn't want to reset again.
Oh, okay.
So in your opinion, just simplifying everything we just talked about, what would be your 3 top placements for ads that you would recommend that game developers should start by testing?
If it's like a RPG style game, or like pretty much there's an economy running in between it, have some kind of a random economy gain gacha or something like that. So pretty much give a possibility to get some kind of ad wheel or whatever wheel of fortune that you can get some small part of the economy, of course, with some kind of a big jackpot possibility that has like really, really small chance, of course. Then the other one would be monetize your fail state. If you are able to do that, if your core loop offers that, of course, monetize your fail state. That's like, of course. And then the third one would be if you have some kind of session limiter, you can also put it on top of ads. So you run out of energy, you offer 25 more energy. Like, let's say the current merge games are using it very, very cleverly these days that, they are pretty much counting with it that you consume 4 ads to get twice as much energy as you normally regenerate. So that's also the one. Just pretty much if you're eating the game, offer like a piece of cake on top of it.
Ooh,
that sounds very good.
Very nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah. That sounds quite good, Remo. So I'm going to move on. That was really good advice, actually. Like, I think we actually covered some pretty good topics there. So if you think about that during soft launch and when you're kind of designing the game, when you kind of hit those metrics, when you start basically seeing a high engagement on your ads and a high volume of impressions per DAU, that's when your Northstar metric should kind of shift away from impressions per DAU and engagement. And in my argument, now your Northstar metric during global launch and after you've hit those metric should shift to ad ARPDAU from an ad monetization perspective.
One thing
that is ad revenue per daily active user.
One thing I wanna ask, like, okay, so you're talking about if you are hitting these numbers, then move towards the ad ARPDAU. If you are not,
so
then what? Then you're screwed.
So you should basically go back and speak to a person like Remo who can help you out to make sure that you're hitting those marks.
Like that's the tricky part, because if then you are just spending 4 months, 5 months tweaking the ad monetization, and every other KPI is just falling apart. Can be
it doesn't usually work like that. That ad monetization is stellar and every other KPI is falling apart. If you design your economy properly, it's usually okay with IAPs and ads in if you do it, from the beginning. Not that you slap ads on top of it, or the other way around. Some people just do it the other way, which is even worse. That you think about the ad economy and then you slap IAPs on top of it. There's this usual spin that you have buy everything button in the game. I've seen that. Buy
everything button and then no ads for 99 cents.
Yes.
How in the fuck is this going to be profitable? 99 cents.
Just saying that games that have the no ads button, what the button does is that it removes interstitials and some kind of
no rewarded.
But you always are there with rewarded videos, even on top of that. It doesn't mean that you don't have rewarded videos from that point of time.
Yep. All right. Sorry, Felix. Continue. Please continue.
No worries. But back to your point, what you said, Matej, it's actually a very good point, because if you remember what I said about the formula, ad revenue equals pretty much fill or impressions times ECPM. So if you want to increase your ad revenue, you can also here at this stage, this is when I would say this is when you should add a mediation partner. So a good rule of thumb is if you have one network bidding in on your inventory, if you just add another network to compete with that one network that you already have through a mediation layer, then your ad revenue will increase by about 100% from just having one partner. So competition here is key. So adding a mediation, that's usually when it gets a bit more complicated. In terms of networks that I recommend to start with, right now, on both iOS and Android, I would recommend that you start with 5 networks. There are Facebook, AdMob, Unity, IronSource, and AppLovin. These networks will be more than enough until your game starts to make about 2K a day in ad revenue. And they'll give you equally good coverage on both iOS and Android. So what does a good mediation setup look like? I'm not going to go through exactly right now how it looks like, because I actually wrote a blog post that I believe will be published on your blog.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true.
So I would actually recommend to go there and check it out, because it's really hard to convey in words exactly what you should look at. So basically, in that blog post, I go into exactly how you should start by setting up your mediation, and also what kind of data you should be looking at to increase your ad revenue in terms of fill and those things.
Yeah, so there's basically also like the example waterfall setup that you should think about.
Exactly. Kind of want to shift gears here before kind of moving into some fun facts on ad monetization, and just ask you, Matej, like what kind of different UA strategies do you employ when it's around, if you have a lot of IAP and ad revenue, and how do you structure UA campaigns differently if you have both revenue sources?
Let's say we have like 50-50 split, which is, that would be amazing for the UA person to have, because you have all the possibilities on the purchase campaigns and the same amount of possibilities on the or ad revenue based campaigns. So that's basically, you're thinking about the purchase campaigns and value optimized campaigns as a one part of the strategy, aiming for purchases and payers and whales, basically. And the other part would be using the ad revenue events. So no game events, but the event which is fired when players watches an ad. So that can be used also for optimization on the campaign level. And now even Unity or Google Ads is also having a possibility of running an ad ROAS based campaigns. So you are trying to optimize for the value of the ad revenue. So when I am talking about the value based campaigns, I'm talking about the purchase or the amount of money that players can pay or will pay in the game. But here it's more about the value of ad revenue. So it's basically hunting ad whales. So that's also one part of the whole strategy. So if the 50-50 is a split, it's easy. But then if you have 70% of ads and 30% of IAPs, your UA strategy should be definitely more skewed towards the ad monetization events and optimization towards the ad revenue rather than the purchase campaigns. It's not always like black and white. And different UA channels offer different UA possibilities and optimization strategies as well. So yeah, well, plenty of stuff, man. Plenty of stuff.
Quite interesting. Out of curiosity, if you're doing a 50-50 split and you have a game, which ad networks do you expect to be spending, like to be your top 5 ad networks that you spend with?
Well, I would say Google definitely is the top one, because you can run the TROAS campaigns, which is the value optimized for purchases, but actually ad-based ROAS as well. So you can have both the most powerful optimization set up on purchase campaigns and ad monetized campaigns on Google. And then, Facebook obviously is still, even though the quality is dropping, so you can still run pretty good iOS campaigns there, which is, I know it's surprised, and a lot of developers are not doing it because, they can't measure it properly. But still, Facebook and iOS 14 campaigns are working quite well. Not very much on the Android side, but, you can still spend a quite decent amount of money on Android as well there on Facebook. And then you have the Unity, which I mentioned, which is ROAS campaigns on both purchase or ad monetization. Optimization, and then I would go with TikTok and Iron Source as well, and Uplavin too. So you have Uplavin campaigns where you can, as well as you can do it on Unity and Google, just focus on ad monetization value and purchase value campaigns. So that's it, man.
Cool, makes sense.
Well, I hope it makes sense. It all depends on the split of the in-app purchases versus the ad revenues.
Yeah, I would just say that seeing games that are 50-50 is very rare occasion. Usually, the distribution in the market is usually 70-30 one way or the other. But 50-50 is really, really hard to see and even to hit.
Yeah, well, thank God I have 2 games like that. Oh, but it's definitely rare to see. But kudos to the guys that make it work on 50-50. It's really hard. But it opens up a lot of possibilities, like I said. So now, you don't need to focus only on the high-paying payers and players, which obviously drives the CPI up. But you can also try to run CPI campaigns with the lowest cost possible, just to get enough impressions there and a huge amount of players into the game.
Last time that I heard, I think a good example for a 50-50 game would be Archero.
Really?
Yep.
I thought it's more skewed towards ads rather than in-app.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised.
I think they kind of switched a little bit. Like if you compare, for instance, how Idle Miner switched, because it was completely ads, and now it's like 50-50 also. But I think from the beginning, as I heard, Archero was 50-50, or even maybe more ads. But then they kind of made the economy much more robust. So I would say even maybe skewed towards 60-40. But yeah, can watch for that now. But during launch, definitely, I heard that they were 50-50.
Okay.
Cool. I think we should leave it there because I have some other fun, good things to know, such as how ECPM is calculated.
Oh, yeah.
How first impressions matter more than kind of the later impressions. But I'm thinking maybe I should save that. So you actually should go and check out the blog on lančarič.me and read it because it makes a bit more sense when you're reading it.
Yeah, but at least
let
us know, or try to explain how the ad networks make money, because everybody says oh well, they're not making any cut. You what you see in the dashboards, it's all the money you get. Yeah, sure, but no, ad networks need to make money because they would go bankrupt, right? So.
For themselves. Who would have thought?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So ad networks make money from your inventory by taking a cut on the ads they show in your game. So generally, this split is 70% to the publisher, like you, and then 30% goes to the network. So the crux here is that you, as the publisher, you never have a way of checking on their margins, on an ad network's margins. The only thing you can do to ensure that they don't overcharge on this, or basically take, let's say, 40 or even 50%, which I've seen happen a couple of times, is that you need to make sure that you have as competitive waterfall setup as humanly possible. And that's the only defense you as a publisher have against them taking too much of that cut. So by having many networks competing for your inventory, then you ensure that they earn 30% or sometimes even less for your inventory.
They will undercut themselves.
That's how they make money on the monetization side.
Yeah. That they will undercut themselves pretty much there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you keep one network, they're definitely not going to stick to giving you 30%. They'll, I can guarantee you that.
A slow process in a way, or just usually let's go hypothetical here. We're doing bad decisions, so we just keep one network. So it will be some kind of adaptive algorithm that figures out by, I don't know, week 3, week 4 that I'm competing with no one. Let's take as much margin as possible.
Usually, what it is you as an ad monetization manager, if you have no contact with the network, if you don't get complaints, then you start slowly pushing your margin up until you start hearing complaints, which is why you need to be a bit of an annoying publisher when you're doing this. Or as an ad monetization person, you need to always be a bit like the disapproving father almost. So you never give a compliment to an ad network saying, they always like to ask oh, how are we doing? Are we in the top 3? But you should never reply to those questions. It's in your interest from a game theory perspective here, the less they know. So what you should do is, if someone asks you at an ad network, oh, how are we doing? What you should reply then is, oh, you're doing okay. You're finally in the top 6. I'm hoping to push it up a bit. And that should be the only thing that you should reply. Because if I, working in an ad network, know that we're in the top 1, I might want to try, because they're already really happy with me, I might want to try pushing my margins, let's say, from 30% to 35%.
Yeah.
And then when I have a call with them in 2 weeks, are they still happy with me?
And
if they still are,
let's move it to 40.
Push that margin a bit more. Exactly. And that's how it works. So I got taught ad monetization that you as an ad monetization manager, how you treat ad networks should be exactly like you grow mushrooms. You keep them in the dark and you feed them crap.
Oh my god! Well, oof. I hope we don't get banned on our accounts on any ad network. But okay, well that's good to know. It's really good to know. And well, should we just leave it here with the amazing mushroom analogy? Oh my god, Felix, that was amazing. No, really, yeah. Thanks for this amazing story and information about how to work on the admon side during the soft launch.
Grow your mushrooms.
Grow your mushrooms in the meantime, and speak to you next week. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
See ya.